Okay. Here we go. Got to mute my computer. Hi, guys. Thanks for being here at our live stream. Dennis is here, of course. We have some early birds. Thanks for being here right on time. Let's see. Who are our early birds today? We have Me Talis. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. Sorry about that. Allison Weaver is here, and Visco Turtles. LPS Gamer Love. Hi. Horse Craver. A lot of familiar faces. Kendall Animation. Bloxy Soap. Oh, a lot of folks. Okay. Cool. So let's say hi to Dennis. Hi, Dennis. How are you?
Hey, good, Steve. And yourself?
Great. It was a very busy weekend. I was telling you that I played in our high school musical this weekend. We did Seussical. So Dennis, have you seen Seussical?
Oh yeah, many times.
Many times?
It's excellent.
You know,
it's fun.
It's fun. It's a fun musical. So it's kind of interesting how, I don't know if anyone out there has seen Seussical, the musical, but it's kind of really interesting, Dennis, I thought, how they take all the different stories and kind of, like, they connect all the different stories. So I'm trying to remember all the Dr. Seuss books that are included in Seussical. I think that, well, obviously there's Green Eggs and Ham. Oh, the main character is, who's the elephant?
Horton.
Horton, right. Horton
and the Who's.
Horton Hears the Who, and the people buttering their bread and all that stuff. What else? There's, of course, the Cat in the Hat is like the main. We had Dennis, so it was really interesting. We actually had 3 different actors on different nights playing the Cat in the Hat, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. That's a great part. That's just a great part.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. They were really great. So that was my weekend. It's Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. And when I played, let me show you guys. When I played in the musical, I'm going to move my camera here. I set up my instruments like this. So you guys can see my saxophone stand. I had my flute over here, and my tenor sax, my alto sax, and my clarinet. And I also had my soprano sax. I was also playing soprano sax. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen someone play in a professional pit orchestra for a musical, but you have all your instruments out, the woodwind people, and you switch back and forth between the different instruments. So the bird is asking me which one do I play best? I would say probably my strongest instrument is the saxophone. Here's the saxophone. Ciao Francesco, checking in from Italy. And probably clarinet and flute. I'd say clarinet is my second best, and flute is my third best. So all the saxophones are probably the ones I'm the best at. Okay, so why don't we jump right into some questions, okay? And Dennis, looks like you already have a question here.
Yeah, there's one up top here. Let me see if I can find it. Here, it says V Logic X. Can you please help me get a good rhythm with a C sharp and a D sharp on the clarinet, please?
Okay, so I see that question, and this is a question from Vlog X. Can I please help get a good rhythm on C sharp and D sharp on the clarinet? So I'm not quite sure exactly what your specific issue you're having. I will show you when you're going C sharp to D sharp. Oh, okay, thank you. Yaz was just explaining what Allison was asking. So I'll answer the slur question too. So C sharp to D sharp. If you're doing it down here, you've got a C sharp. Oh, you know what? Here, this might be your problem. If you're playing C sharp and then you try to play D sharp here, you're going to have problems because you're doing from this pinky to here, and that's kind of awkward. I would use C sharp and D sharp here. C sharp, D sharp, C sharp, D sharp. And maybe that will solve your problem. Okay, so I hope that answered your question, Vlog. And another question. Allison, is this your question about slurring? Let me see. Oh, okay. Yeah, Allison, what does it mean when a slur is on a note? So, Allison, which instrument do you play? Or I think, Allison, are you a clarinet player? If I remember that correctly. So basically, when there is Allison plays saxophone. Okay, a slur is a curved line that connects two notes or three notes or four notes, sometimes a whole bunch of notes. So a slur is when you basically tongue the first note and then you move your fingers to the other notes without doing anything with your tongue. Just your air totally connects. So if I was going to play... Ooh, a little squeaky there. Okay. So I went G, A, B, C, D. If it was tongued with no curved line, it would be ta, 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 ta. But if they put a slur on it, you just tongue the G and move your fingers. That is a slur. Okay. Let's see. Another question. So Dennis has highlighted a question from Nicholas 5476. How can you make it easier to transition from sax to trumpet? So really, I'll try to think of some advice, because switching from sax to trumpet is kind of a big switch. Here's a sax. Here's a trumpet. Okay. Saxophone embouchure is bottom lip, top teeth. Trumpet is both lips, like you're saying the letter M, and we go. And Dennis, I don't know if you can remember or highlight. I want to answer Ace Pez's question about double sharp too. Okay.
Will do.
Okay, cool. So my main advice switching from sax to trumpet is spend a lot of time on the mouthpiece. Yeah, when you do this, it does sound kind of funny. You put the mouthpiece on right in the center. And just go for a nice steady sound. And then try going lower and higher. Okay, and then you work, that helps you with your sound on the trumpet. The biggest difference between trumpet and sax is you have to get good on the trumpet at switching your notes from low to high, like this. That's called lip slurring. So that would be my main advice to you, is to work on that. Okay.
All right. I have one for here from Nicole Paul. How do you play slots with my notes on the planet?
How do you do? I'm sorry, Dennis, can you repeat that?
Yeah. How do you play slots with my notes on the planet?
How do you play? See, I'm not actually sure what that question is referring to. Sorry, I was trying to block one of our spammers there, guys. Sorry, I got a little distracted. How do you? I don't understand that question, Dennis. If the person who asked that question could ask that again, and maybe just explain what you mean, and I will try to answer it, because I'm not sure exactly what you mean by that question. So actually, let me jump into this other question by Ace. Ace was asking, hi Mike, thank you for being here. Ace was asking about double sharps. Okay, so first of all, a double sharp is when you take a note, and so a sharp is when you take a note and you raise it by a half step. So take a C, sharp it to a C sharp. Now if you see a C double sharp, you actually are just going to go up another half step. Now you might say that note is, if you go up a half step from C sharp, that's just a D note. So that might be confusing. What's the point of doing a double sharp? And it takes a little bit long of an explanation, but let me see if I can explain it real quick. So whenever you play a major scale, the rule is a major scale has to have every note in the musical alphabet. So if I'm going to play a G major scale, it goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Every letter note is there. Say I was going to do a G sharp major scale. I have G sharp, A sharp, B sharp, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, but my F sharp was already F sharp from G major, I have to sharp it again, and it becomes F double sharp. So I don't know if that might be a little bit confusing, but that's the reason, okay? I'm going to answer very quickly an easy one from our friend was asking about how to play A flat on the flute. And I'm trying to see who that is, but A flat is simply a G, 1, 2, 3, that's a G, and then you hit this key right here. That is A flat, also known as G sharp. Okay. I see a question here from Horse Craver, who is one of our friends who's here a lot. And it was, oh, wow, Ace Pez says that you understand my explanation on double sharps. Thank you. All right, so Ace Perez also says got to go. So see you, Ace Perez. I'm glad I somewhat explained that for you. Okay, Horse Craver was asking, how does a mouthpiece work on an oboe? And Pete Hall is also asking an oboe question. How do you get a good tone on the oboe? So, first of all, does anyone out there know what's the first thing I'm going to say about an oboe mouthpiece? Does anyone know what the first thing to know about an oboe mouthpiece is that an oboe actually doesn't have a mouthpiece. An oboe has two reeds. Jason Nguyen got it. Kermit Lover got it. An oboe is two reeds put together and tied together with string, and it's actually played with your lips a little bit rolled in and in the center of your lips, and with just airstream blowing air through the reed. So getting a good tone on oboe, I think our friend Pete was asking that. Whenever we're working on tone for an instrument, I always recommend doing long tones, which is you just practice taking a deep breath, maybe use a tuner to make sure you're playing the note in tune, and just take a deep breath and hold the note for as long as possible, and just listen to the tone and just try to get as steady a sound as you can. So that's one thing to work on for oboe, okay? So Dennis, haven't heard from you in a little bit. Do you mind sharing a question with us?
Not a problem. Kermit, over 167, how do you produce a better tone on the bari sax?
Okay. So, better tone on the baritone sax. What you have to do is make sure you're using the proper embouchure, okay? So, just like any saxophone, we are using a bottom lip, top teeth. I think where some people go wrong on the baritone sax is putting too much mouthpiece in their mouth. So if you're getting a really blaring, unpleasant sound on the bari sax, it might be because you have too much mouthpiece in your mouth. Try a little bit less mouthpiece. Make sure you're doing proper bottom lip, top teeth. And you should have the mouthpiece in your mouth just enough to get a good steady sound. Okay? So there's a little bit of help on that. All right. Let's see here. I should probably play something here. Let's see.
Then Takira Taylor, tips on playing 3-octave scales on clarinet.
Okay. Here's a clarinet, my clarinet. I'll play a 3-octave F major scale. So, F major is one of the scales we can play in 3 octaves on the clarinet because we go all the way down to this low F, and then we go to this high F, and then our double high F, which is thumb, register key, 2, 3, pinky. So when you get up into the really high range of the clarinet, you have to really be using strong air. Your reed has to be strong enough. If you're having trouble playing your super high notes, it might be that your reed needs to be moved up to like a 3 or 3.5. And just make sure you have the right fingerings. Another thing I always talk about in the upper range of the clarinet is you think about your voicing, which is the shape of your tongue, okay? So when you're playing really, really high notes on clarinet, we have to shape our tongue as if we're saying E, and that makes our tongue kind of go up in the back. It's creating a different airstream inside your mouth. That's how you get your high notes on clarinet. Okay, So, horse craver, what are flats on clarinet? Well, flats are the same on every instrument. It's just taking a note and lowering it by a half step. So E, E flat, B, B flat, A flat. It's the same on every instrument, just the fingerings are different. Okay? Jason Nguyen is asking, how do you play low notes quietly on the alto sax? Okay, where's my alto? Here it is. So I'm going to answer this question using as my song example. I'm going to use so Mike Hamilton, who's one of our most dedicated watchers here on the YouTube live stream, is requesting an Eric Clapton song. So I'll do, so Eric Clapton, Wonderful Tonight, has a nice little melody to it, and it's going to help me demonstrate the low range of the alto sax, okay? So the melody in, the guitar melody in Wonderful Tonight goes like this. I'll show it here so you can see it. So the reason I played that little melody is because it's showing going down into the low range of the alto sax. It goes down to a low E, okay? A lot of people struggle, a lot of younger students maybe struggle on the alto sax or any saxophone going into the low range, okay? And what you have to, okay, so Jason, I know you want to go down to low B flat. So I'll start here. There's two ways of going low and keeping it quiet. There's something called subtone. Subtone is when you kind of pull your chin and your bottom lip, kind of pull it down a little bit and in to kind of in, like you're giving yourself an overbite. And that allows the saxophone to be really quiet in a subtone way like this. That's how a lot of the jazz players used to do it. Now, in a classical way, you wouldn't want to go into subtone. You'd want to keep your full tone, your embouchure stays the same, but you just use less air, enough air to keep the note going, but not so much air that you're going to play loud. So you have to have a really good reed, and you have to have a well-developed embouchure. So I hope that helps you, Jason. And Mike commented that we are early tonight. And Dennis, we were talking about this before we went on the air. Here in the States, we have our daylight savings time, which means right now it's actually 5 o'clock. It's the same time as it was last week, my last show in the U.S., but we had our time change, daylight savings time, so we all moved our clocks ahead 1 hour. What's 5 o'clock here might be different for folks in other parts of the world. So anyway, Dennis, do you think do you think daylight savings time is worth keeping around, or should we change it?
No, we should keep that and get rid of the other.
Oh, okay. So keep it as it is now.
Yeah, but just keep it. I mean, decide on one thing, and then because again, this is a real good example of how it screws up our dealing with the rest of the world.
Right. Yeah. Well, now at least it's going to be, the sun's going to be out later, right? Or later in the day.
Yes.
So I'm missing some questions here. Let's go back to a few questions. We have about, we have about 10 minutes left. That's great. Mitsa is asking, how do I put staccato to a song? Okay, so hello, Mitsa. How do we do staccato on a song? Well, staccato means that you play each note. How do I explain this? Some people say staccato means short, and it sort of means short, but really what it means is every note should be very separated from all the other notes. So if I was going to play 4 G's in a row, I went ta, 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 ta. That's connected style, but I tongued each one. Now staccato, I'm not speeding up the beat or anything. I'm just touching each note so they're separate, like this. So for each one, you have to tongue it like you normally do, but your air also goes t, t. Sometimes I describe it to students. Imagine like you're throwing a dart with your air. T, 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 okay? And that's staccato. So we just work on that slowly and then speeding up, okay? And Allison is chiming in on the chat. Yes, I really wish, I do see all the questions that come through, but they come through kind of fast, and I try to get to as many as I can. So, let's see. Dennis, can you throw another question my way?
Yes, there's a fellow who's either Russian or Ukrainian, so I can't pronounce the name.
Okay.
Hey, I just wanted to ask you how to make a scoop on alto sax.
I see our friend there.
Yes.
A scoop. Okay, so I saw someone else comment, what even is a scoop on the sax? All right, so a scoop is when you play a note, so Allison is asking what a scoop is. It's usually used in jazz, okay? And it's when you don't play the note right on pitch. You play a note, but you intentionally start with your embouchure flat, and then you bring it up into tune, like this. So I'm playing a B, but I'm starting it under and going. Now you can do it two ways. You can do it with just your embouchure. So I'm going, oh, I'm like kind of loose, tight. And I'm kind of pulling the reed down and pushing it back up. Yeah. Francesco says it's like you're making your saxophone make the laugh sound. The way you do it is like this. Ready? Okay. Make your embouchure. Play, it's easier on higher notes, I think, at first. So you play a high B. And then you use your muscles here like you're going to pull the reed down away from the mouthpiece. And that brings the pitch down and then back up. So watch. Okay, and that gives you control over your scooping. And then you just start a note on the lower end and bring it up. Okay, so Horse Craver is saying they've got to go. So see you later. Thanks for joining us. That is how you scoop. The other way is you can do it with actual notes, like do a half step below the note. So B flat to B. That's not really a scoop. It's like a grace note, but they both kind of work. All right, so Jason has been requesting Super Mario theme on alto sax. Let me see if I can play that. Yeah. There's a little bit of Super Mario Brothers for you, okay? That was a special request. Let's see. Durjoy is saying, I have to go in 2 minutes. Can I answer your question? Okay, Durjoy, why don't you throw your question at me again? And I will try to answer it. Oh, I'm going back in the chat here and looking for the question. How do you keep your high notes consistent? Oh, okay. How do you keep your high notes consistent on flute? Now, this is actually something I was really working on playing in the musical this weekend. I was playing a lot more flute than I'm used to playing, and it had some high parts. So I was really working on a lot of my answers that have to do with steady notes, getting a better tone, all of these things. A lot of these are just playing long tones. So you just take a high note. So let's take a B flat. And you just hold it for as long as you can and try to find the perfect spot for your lips blowing across the embouchure hole, and just try to hold it there, because what you're doing is you're training your lips how to hold a steady note. Okay? See, I just had a little problem with it. So you just, every day, just take a note, do a long tone. The other thing you can do is octaves, like this. And that is how you can help clear up your high notes. Now, let's see here. I saw something that got my attention here. Pete Hall and Sonic Dodo have a question. How can you work on air capacity? Okay, so again, I feel like I answered almost a lot of questions have the same answer for me, and that is how to work on air capacity. Does anyone know the answer I'm going to say? The best way to work on being able to sustain a note for a long time, I'm going to see if anyone knows what I'm going to say. How do you work on building up your air capacity? Jason Nguyen, Imperium is saying breathing. All right, a lot of you are just saying practice. That is right. Yes, Imperium got the answer. I think you meant to write long tones. Imperium got the answer. Long tones, right. So if you want to build up, long tones do so many things for you. They work on your tone. They work on your embouchure. You can get good at your dynamics. You can get good at your steadiness, your intonation. And on top of all that, you're working on your air capacity. Because when you do a long tone, you take the deepest breath you can. I'm going to do it on trumpet, just because I haven't played trumpet today. All right? So you take the deepest breath you can. And you set a timer and see how long you can hold a note, okay? I can probably hold a note for a good 45 seconds to a minute if I take a really deep breath. So really, that's the best way to work on it, okay? Let's go to Dennis. Dennis, how about a question?
Yes, LPS Gamer Love, why do most people start with a B-flat clarinet instead of an A?
Oh, okay. It's a great question. Why do most people start with a B-flat clarinet instead of an A? Probably because most people who start playing clarinet learn clarinet as part of a school band. And in a band or a concert band or wind ensemble, clarinets are always B-flat clarinets. You only get an A clarinet when you're in an orchestra or when you're playing in an orchestra. And the reason is, it's a little bit tricky to explain, but the reason is, I'll just make it simple. A B-flat clarinet makes it easier to play in band music because a B-flat clarinet is better for flat keys. An A clarinet makes it a little bit easier to play clarinet in orchestras because of the sharp keys that orchestras like to play in. Okay? So that is the answer. Okay, so our friend who asked the scoop question, I wish I knew how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry. But he's asking, or he or she is asking, one more question. How do you do a long fall on alto sax? Okay. Long fall on alto sax, you simply just go wherever note you're on. You just try to do a smooth scale down the notes of your saxophone. The key thing about a fall, all right? And so if you're ever doing a fall on your instrument, it sounds like this. Okay? So what I did was I was on a high B and I went down my scale twice, the high one and the low octave. And the thing about a fall is at the end of the fall, you have to let your air trail off so we don't hear the bottom of the fall. Okay, so I describe it, it's like the sound of someone like jumping off of a high building or something or a cliff. You would hear them go, fall off the cliff and go, ah, and their voice would kind of trail off, right? So when you do a fall, you go, you don't want to hear, because if you hear the bottom of the fall, it kind of ruins the effect. So That's a quick example. All right. A lot of great questions today, guys, and actually we are close. We're just about at the end. So, Cass, what is your question? I want to answer Cass's question. So ask that question again, and I will do our final question of the day. Mitza, I use, on saxophone, I use a Meyer 5, and on tenor sax, I use what is it called? A Jody Jazz mouthpiece. Still looking for that question. All right, I'm going to give some, okay, Allison and Jason are asking for shout-outs. Okay, shout-outs to all my friends who are watching. I'll do as many shout-outs as I can. Allison, Weaver, and Kermit Man, and Jason, thank you for being here. And Mitza, thank you. And Dr. Saxophone 4, great, I love that username. Abby Kane, hi Abby. And again, I'm sorry guys if I didn't get to your questions, okay? Jonathan Martinez, Pete Hall. Oh, Pete Hall is saying Abby Kane has been asking the whole show and didn't get an answer. What's Abby Kane's question? I feel bad now. Kindle Animation, Yaz, and L Vlog X, and thank you Jason for subbing. Anime Andy, and Mindbender, and LPS Gamer Love. Okay. Neil Tubbs. Oh, is that Abby's? Okay. This is Abby's question that I've been missing the whole chat. Dennis, I don't know if you highlighted this, so I'm sorry if I missed it.
I did up top.
Okay, so Abby says, I'm doing my clarinet. This will be my closing question of the day, okay, guys? I'm doing my clarinet grade 5 in a week for the ABRSM. I think that's in the UK, right? I think. I recently got an alto sax and keep getting the fingerings mixed up. Okay. Well, let's see. First let me tell you, I also got a little bit confused when I first added saxophone. I was playing clarinet and I added saxophone. So the thing to remember, and I guess you already know this, is what I had to keep reminding myself is the clarinet is different in the low register, but the upper register of the clarinet is the same as the saxophone. And so what I would do is when I was playing saxophone, I would just keep thinking upper range of the clarinet, and when I was playing clarinet, I would just remember that it's two different sets of fingerings depending on the octave that you're in. So I know Cass, I promised, I just missed it. Okay, woo, Cass is getting a little upset that I missed your question. Oh, okay. Cass wants to know why can't I hold long notes on flute. All right, I will answer that right now. All right, I promise. So just following up on the last thing I was talking about for Abby. So I hope that helps you. Just think of saxophone is the same in both octaves. Clarinet is different in the low register. Last question I'll answer, and then we'll go. Cass is asking, how do you hold long notes on the flute? And actually, I get this question a lot. What you have to do is make sure you're not letting too much air out of your lips. So we make our embouchure. If we blow with a big hole in our lips like this, you're going to run out of air too much. Instead of that, just keep your lips closed and just blow like you're letting air leak out like this. Okay? And we do this. So you don't need a whole bunch of air to play a note. You'll run out of air, okay? So just tiny bit of air, like you've sprung a leak in the middle of your lips. And that way you can hold your notes for a long time. So I hope that answered your question. That is going to be it for today. Thank you everyone who was here for the whole time. Those of you who joined in late, sorry that you we're a little late to the party, but if you haven't adjusted your clocks, here in the US, we are now on. So Dennis, we're now on daylight savings time or we're off it now?
No, we're on it.
Okay, now we're on daylight savings time. So that means it's now 5:35 here in the US, here on the east coast of the US. So thank you all of you for being understanding. If I didn't get to your question, please come back next week. If you're not already subbed to me, please sub to my channel. And also you can follow me, Dr. Selfridge, at Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and things like that. Francesco says it's, 22:35. Wait, what does that mean? What's that, Dennis? That's 10. Yeah, that's 10:35. Yes,
Yeah.
right. Okay. We're not used to the 24-hour clock here in the U.S. unless you're in the military. The military likes to do that. So cheers, everybody. Thank you for watching. Dennis, let's all say thank you to Dennis and Terry and Joe who are helping us out in the chat. And folks, we'll be back next week. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question, and please join us next week. Bye, guys. Bye, Dennis.
Yep. Take care, Steve.
Have a great week.
You too.